接下来，让我们有请 EBSCO 的渠道销售经理 Laurie McIntosh， 他带来的报告题目是 BiblioGraph， 让图书馆馆藏更容易被发现和利用。因 Laurie McIntosh 人在美国，不方便现场参会，他为大会录制了报告视频，请工作人员播放视频。
Welcome everyone to EBSCO's update on Folio, BibFrame, and BiblioGraph. Learning about linked data, enrichment, and syndication of your MARC records. So the question out there today is, why aren't catalogs portable and visible on the web? How is it we can use an open standard to help make your catalog better, enriching your records, and make your data portable, taking it out of the catalog and out of the OPAC and getting your collection out there on the web? Well, bibliographic records, MARC data, are full of rich content. However, all of this data, much of this data, is locked and invisible outside of the OPAC or Discovery Service. And it certainly is not connecting people and places and genre together. Our goal is to help you free this data and create new connections with data from authoritative resources, helping your users explore and find and use relevant resources out there on the web. How do we do that? With BibFrame. BibFrame is an open standard that frees the library catalog and allows the creation of enriched, connected resources. Zafira and the Library of Congress started working together on creating BibFrame several years ago. In 2020, the Zafira team was acquired by EBSCO, and so now you have a dynamic team working together to bring new visibility and portability to your data. And as you might have recently heard, Library of Congress has selected Folio as their next solution and will be incorporating BibFrame into the mix. Making BibFrame adoption is easier for all libraries. It doesn't matter if you're a national library, a public library, an academic, or a specialty or medical library. In addition to adapting Folio to BibFrame first functionality, EBSCO is supporting industry-wide BibFrame adoption and data exchange. As part of this strategy, EBSCO joined the Program for Cooperative Cataloging, BibFrame Interoperability Group, known as BIG, and we are a consultant. As I mentioned, the Zafira team that was in partnership with Library of Congress to create the first version of BibFrame is now part of EBSCO, and we are excited for the future. EBSCO also works with thousands of other academic, public, and national libraries that are publishing BibFrame in 11 countries through the BibFrame and Library.link network. We're also partnering with Google to share linked data that is now integrated into Google's knowledge graphs, Google Books, and what to read next. Now, these borrow actions are currently only available in the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. But Google and EBSCO are working together in partnership to determine what countries can next be available with borrow actions. So what's available with BibFrame services today? How can BibFrame today make your catalog better and visible and portable? Well, academic, national, and public libraries are using BiblioGraph to make their records portable and visible on the web through syndication partnerships and creating of custom carousels. BiblioGraph enables libraries to publish library resources anywhere on the web. not just your website, but also on blog posts, newsletters, community partners, LibGuides. In the academic world, we have libraries using it in subject guides, reading recommendation, instructor pages, and much more. Libraries are using BiblioGraph to curate collections of living lists, whether it's a hot topic or a list of banned books or the next greatest reads. We're also enriching resources with data from authoritative resources. And we're driving more usage of the library's catalog from anywhere on the web, making your content visible where your users are looking. Libraries join the library.link network to connect their catalog to an ever-expanding graph of information, not just within their own catalog, but also connecting to others. Here's a great example of a list that was contributed by one university and then utilized by another and then placed onto a news page. And again, we talked about subject guides, or where you can have really intent content that you create, lists of ISBNs that you want to make visible within a particular page. BibFrame and BiblioGraph allows you to do this. So how do libraries create and use BibFrame with BiblioGraph? We take your MARC records. Currently, right now, the data that we're able to work with is MARC and MARC 21, and we transform those records into BibFrame resources. We then create the data graphs to connect and enrich all of those resources, and using the connected and enriched resources anywhere on the web. Here's an example, a little deeper look at how BiblioGraph uses MARC to create BibFrame. I'm going to use the example of Albert Einstein. So we all know that the MARC field 100 gives the person Albert Einstein, commonly thought of as the author. Well, when transformed into BibFrame, Albert Einstein is now the creator, the author, and each of those identifying resources has its own unique identifier. The identifier for Albert Einstein is the same regardless of what library, but it is unique to him alone. Transforming MARC into BibFrame resources, each resource becomes a link, and it serves as that unique identifier. So again, using the Albert Einstein example, we are now able to create relationships. So I have the subject or the work, one of his titles that he has authored, and I have the person of Albert Einstein, and I have the relationship. He is the creator. And you can see here, each resource has its own unique identifier, or you might think of it as a unique fingerprint out there on the web. Now, when I take a look at this whole graph of data, I can see each unique item, whether it's the title, the book, and all of the connections to the book itself, or whether it's the person of Albert Einstein and all of the connections to the person of Albert Einstein. Each bubble there represents a unique BibFrame resource, and from it, all of the connections on that particular resource itself. So whether I'm looking for the subject of, or the creator of, the place that he was born, you can start to see your MARC records are now a much bigger graph of data. And when published to the library.link network, your graphs now can be interconnected with other graphs of data. So libraries can start to see overlap on unique titles. They can also see overlap on hot topics and subjects. BibFrame and BiblioGraph make all of this possible. So the benefit of connected graphs is the simple fact that BibFrame resources created by libraries become this large interconnected graph of data. So now you can start to see items that are unique, items that are overlapping, items that you share with one or two other libraries. Because your data is now transformed into BibFrame and published on the library.link network, all of these connections and overlaps and unique areas are possible to see. How do we enrich the data? Well, we take those unique identifiers and we connect it to authoritative resources. Specifically, you'll see a lot of connections with Wikidata or LCNAP. So here's an example of what that might look like in practicality, where Albert Einstein, the person of, also has his name in multiple languages. So libraries are able to use connections across data graphs to add new information, in this case, about a given author. With the Library of Congress, you now will be able to have quickly and authoritatively all the different variants of Albert Einstein. Or if there is an author who passes, you can quickly have the authoritative resource from LCNAP regarding his death date. Libraries can use these connections to add new information about people and include the accurate death dates and matching identifiers into their own records. How do we do that? Well, BiblioGraph intelligently maps links, or commonly known as local identifiers, to the equivalent identifiers in other graphs. So we use these mappings to pull in additional information and data. Example here is using the enriching of the person from Wikidata. You can also syndicate this information into your own knowledge panel. So here, Albert Einstein pulls in all of that information from Wikidata about his birth, his date he was born, the date he passed, his religion, etc., as well as other outside web resources, whether it's Wikipedia or IMDb or other web resources. And then it connects it all to your actual catalog. So you can see here items by Albert and items by Albert. In summary, BiblioGraph syndication and data enrichment unlocks the catalog and transforms it into BibFrame. It selects authority data sources for enrichment. We weave the library into the web where your users are at, and we're able to publish and embed enriched resources across institutional web properties, such as faculty pages, reading lists, department websites, allowing you the opportunity to create curated lists that you can share and embed with your users. Participation in the library.link network to connect your BibFrame to other catalogs and understand what is unique and shared. Thinking again about the list provided by one library and then used by another. That collaboration is now an opportunity for you to work with libraries on the network. Thank you so much for your time today as we talked about not only folio and BibFrame integration with one another, but also how BiblioGraph can help bring new value and visibility to your catalog out on the web.